when I thought about communism and I thought about freedom, like there was only a few things that came to my mind, like censorship on the internet. That was one thing that kind of came to my mind. But then the more I thought about it, there was other things, like freedom of press, being able to have news about different subjects that might be controversial or might shine light on corruption inside the government. Freedom to own a gun. Can you own a gun in China?
No.
You see, then like, what if the government wants to take over the people? I mean, they've already taken over the people because they're communists.
You can't do anything.
What?
You don't have the gun, and the country has army. So, if they want you to do something, you can just obey.
That's not true, because there was a situation, I forget where it was in the United States, but there was a cattle rancher that had his cattle grazing, and they'd been grazing in that area for decades, for a really, really long time. And the government told him that he has to get his cows off this land. They just kind of came in and decided that this land was theirs and it wasn't available to him anymore. And he said no. And so the government was sending people out there. They were sending like pretty much like
Soldiers.
police officers, yeah. And the people of that community were like, no, this is not going to happen. So all of the people of that community came out with all their guns, and they had a standoff. And the police said, this isn't worth it, and they went their separate way. And I think the same thing. Like, I mean, sure, you're going to get people who just like want to do what the government tells them to do. But if I was in the army, if I was a soldier, and they told me, oh, we have these people, they're drug addicts, and you got to go in there and you got to kill all of them, I would say no, because those are you know what I mean? Those are my people. We're all in this together.
Yeah, that's America. I'm saying China. You can't fight against the government. You have nothing to.
You have nothing to fight with.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, because we're talking about Hong Kong, and Hong Kong wants freedom. But your kind of viewpoint is they're just a bunch of degenerates causing a bunch of trouble, breaking stuff. But I kind of see them as patriots. If they're saying, hey, we want freedom, and we don't care, like we're gonna cause hell until we get it. So, say for instance, the Boston Tea Party. You ever heard that story? Where they were taxing on the tea, and well, it's funny now because we're taxing everything. We have so much taxes here in the United States, but at that time they didn't want to be taxed, so they took all the tea and they just threw it in the harbor.
Oh, you're saying the American individual war with British?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I know that.
And they destroyed their own stuff, So like in the same way, like that's kind of what Hong Kong's doing. Or what about, I don't know much about this one, but Tiananmen Square.
Yeah, I don't know either. Nobody knows the true history, only some news in two different sides. One is saying there were no people die, one is saying the government killed so many people.
Oh yeah, the government did kill a bunch of people.
How do you know that? You didn't see that.
Well, there's footage of it.
What footage?
On the internet.
You mean the photos?
Photos, yeah.
Yeah, I have saw some photos, and I think there should be some people died.
There should be? Well, there probably had to be some people die because they were standing up against the government.
Yeah.
So the same thing with like this whole thing in Hong Kong. You don't think we should stand with Hong Kong?
No.
I mean, don't get me wrong. Some of like those people lighting that guy on fire, that was wrong. But fighting the police, I don't know. That kind of seems right to me, because when the British were over here, they were the police. He said, "No, you're not going to be the police here." And we fought for freedom. And the people in the British people must have been, if they had the news, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, these freaking people are out of their minds. Look at them, they're destroying everything, they're killing the police." You know? But if you don't have this freedom, then, you know, like, because we had that discussion, you said that you've seen what the Communist Party has done for China, because you've seen how much it's increased your standard of living within the last 10, 20 years, where your family used to live in a small place and now they kind of live in a bigger place. But I also think maybe that has to do with like the jobs that your parents and the opportunities that your parents have. And not everybody in China had those opportunities. And some people are working countless hours in these factories, working for like nothing.
Yeah, China has so many problems. But in Hong Kong, this thing stands for the government. The American and British are different. American, this land is God bless America. This is a holy land, you know. Very lucky. You have so many plant land with few mountains, right? Plant land, so you can plant
food,
grows,
yeah,
and feed animals. And you are so far away from British. But Hong Kong, he live upon China. It live upon China. All the water, electric, just sent from China, and it can't live without China. If China just stop the water, all the people in Hong Kong will be thirsty to die. And China just provide them for free, you know, or in a very low price. And China gave all the best benefit to Hong Kong, except the education. The Chinese government didn't give Hong Kong education how to be a Chinese.
They don't want to be Chinese though. I mean, they're Chinese, but they don't want to be controlled by the communist government.
How to defend if a man should belong to China? How should be Chinese?
Well,
do you think that should be depend on what he think he is?
Or where he lives?
Yeah.
I just see communism as the evil. And people in China, I mean, you live there, you know, you probably see it as like a good thing. You really don't really care that much, because it's not really that big of a deal to you, because you don't really have like you play your video games, you go to work.
Yeah, I have heard some story about one of my teacher. He used to live in a place, and the building producer, he wants him to move out, or maybe the government wants him to move out. So they won't just force you, but they will do this in a very dark way. Like they send some gangsters to force you to move out, or they will break your leg. Anyway, I didn't experience these things, but I heard of these things.
And then, who do you tell? You can't go to the newspaper. You can't go to the news.
Yeah.
Because if you go to the news, then they're just gonna kill you.
They won't kill you. They just you just can't go to the news.
Yeah. Well, there's probably no stations. I mean, there are, but all of the news organizations are powered by the communist government. So they're just perpetuating it more and more. And you're not allowed to, I'm sure, like, I don't know much about it because I don't live there and I don't do much research on it. But there's probably a bunch of things that are going on that are not really right. And I'm not saying that America is perfect. There's definitely a bunch of things that are going on here that aren't right. But when there's something that's not right, we can publish an article about it. And we can speak freely about it, and we can tell people, and we can do something about it, especially if it's something within our government. Well, we can try to, at least. It seems like it's getting a little bit out of hand nowadays.
Yeah, the same thing in China. You can still report some bad things about the who ninja some money in government. Do you know ninja?
Like, I know what a ninja is, yes.
Yeah, they just use a public money to do their own thing.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, they will be reported in some instances. I have saw that. And yeah, there were some bad things be reported in China. But most news in official channel are good news. They talk about what good happening.
I bet. Yeah.
Anyway, the government, it makes sense. They won't be stable in China. The first thing they care is the stable of their domination. Like they want to dominate this land, this country. They don't want anything unstable happen. Like guns, it's a risk, so they just abandon that. Like drugs, they abandon that. These are all the bad things for their domination. I agree. The problem here is, or what I care here is, if their profit has conflicts with the public people's profit, or how much part of our profit are the same. Like if our country grow up and become better and better, so our individual will get some profit, right? They have the same profit.
The people and the government, because the government works for the people.
Yeah.
But that's so they say.
But it's a fact. If your country become better and better, do you receive some profit as an individual?
No.
What?
I mean, it depends. That
you earn $1 in American. How much can you buy in other country?
Depends on what country.
whatever. America is the richest country in the world right now.
I'm just saying.
So if your country is number one, the money you earn is worth money. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The country's profit and personal profit in some parts they are the same. So some other country, maybe their country is poor, or their government doesn't know how to manage. Their people live a poor life, and the money they earn doesn't worth any money. They can't use this money to buy some things from other country. But in America, even people, they do very simple things, like just wash dishes. The money they earn, they can still buy a lot of things from other country.
Mm-hmm.
I can say most people in America, they live a not bad life. That's because America is number one country right now. The country become rich, so the poorest people in this country will be richer. So it's an individual and the whole country thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I talk about the communism and public people. They have some profit, the same, and there are some profit. They have conflicts. Like, if the communism get more, the people get less. That's the conflicts part. The point is, if this part's big or small, if this part's people are acceptable or they can't accept, there are always people will be, how to say this word? Oh my God.
I like how you keep that app right on your screen, like right on the home screen. Exploitation?
Mm-hmm.
What were you saying about exploitation?
There are always people exploited.
Oh, exploit?
Mm.
The people for their labor? But I feel like that's what's happening in China.
Not only in China, that's the whole world thing.
Yeah, for sure.
The worker will be exploited by the investor.
Yeah, especially with technology and automation, because like that's what we're running into an issue right now, is that we have all these machines and this technology that can produce all of these goods in mass quantities, tons of them. A lot of, like, everybody can be financially free and be taken care of, and but what happens is the factory gets this machine, and then they get rid of all of the people that work in that factory. And then you find that those people that just got fired don't have the money to buy any of the stuff that the machines are producing. And then it's like, why do we even get the machine? Well, we got the machine to make it easier on everybody, because we find sitting there and doing this little, putting this thing together all day is boring, and it's just like not fun, and like people hate it. So we like, as a community or as a corporation, we buy this machine to do this job for us, and the machine doesn't work just for the company, but it works for the community too. But that goes into communism. That's I think it's so weird, because, you know, people have this, oh, you have to be absolutely free or you're going to be communist. It's like one or the other. And we're going to have to like morph into this new idea of how technology and automation and the government and how people can all work together in this new age. Because we have these machines now that can produce all of these goods for these people, and the people don't have to suffer to get them anymore. They don't have to sit on their feet for 12 hours a day punching on this machine, and they almost need to be supplied with the money, kind of like Andrew Yang was saying, $1,000 a month. And another thing is like social media and doing stuff on the internet. Your information and the stuff that you search and the stuff that you do on your phone and all of the internet is more valuable than oil right now. But none of us get any money. I don't see my check for that. Where's my check? I use Facebook, I use Instagram, I use Snapchat, Twitter, all of these things. And I'm putting all my information in it, and I'm clicking on things, and I'm interacting with it. I'm spending lots of hours on this app, but I don't get any money from that. They get all the money from it, and they turn into these huge corporations like Google or Twitter or whatever. And but just, I guess my only issue with the communist government in China is it just suppresses the people from having freedom of speech and speaking out against the government. I mean, of course, you say that you can file a little letter and say, hey, this is what's going on. But I also feel like that happens here in the United States. It's like, oh, if there's something wrong in the police, if you have a bad police interaction, if the police abuse you, you can file a complaint to the police station. But you know what the police station does. The police station gets that, and they say, oh yeah, we'll give it to and then they go, and they throw it away. So it's just a weird predicament that we're in.